The boardroom air hung thick with the scent of fresh leather and stale ambition. Jordan Hale, our shiny new CEO fresh from Silicon Valley, leaned back in his chair like he owned the skyline outside the window. He fixed his gaze on Alex Rivera, the man who'd been our chief compliance officer for nearly 2 decades, and delivered the line with the casual cruelty of someone who'd never built anything from scratch. Alex, we're moving in a new direction. Your services are no longer required. Effective immediately. The words landed like a dropped mic in a silent auditorium. Alex didn't blink. He didn't argue. He just nodded once, stood up slowly, and adjusted the cuff of his sleeve, revealing a watch that had probably ticked through more crises than Jordan had board meetings. Understood, Alex said, his voice steady as a flatline. Then he turned and walked out, the door clicking shut behind him with the finality of a vault ceiling. I was there, Emily Voss, General Counsel, the one who mopped up the messes no one else wanted to touch. And in that moment, as the room exhaled collectively, I felt a chill snake down my spine. Jordan smirked, turning to the board with that boyish grin that had charmed investors out of millions. That's done. Now, let's talk growth. But I couldn't shake the unease. Alex wasn't just any employee, he was the architect of our safeguards, the guy who'd woven ironclad protections into every contract, every policy. I'd worked side by side with him for years. Late nights poring over legalese, sharing bad coffee and worse jokes. There was something about him, quiet confidence, a dry wit that cut through the corporate fog, that made you feel like the world made sense. And now, Jordan had just flicked him away like lint. I cleared my throat, my voice sharper than intended. Jordan, did you review his contract before this? He waved it off. Emily, it's fine. We're agile now. No more red tape. The board murmured agreement, eyes on their tablets, already scrolling to the next agenda item. But I knew better. Alex had embedded clauses in his agreement that weren't just boilerplate, they were landmines for the unprepared. Clause 17B, the compliance covenant. Firing him without a formal review process didn't just end his paycheck, it triggered a cascade. Liability shifted. Insurances voided. Archives locked. I slammed my hand on the table, startling Director Simmons into spilling his water. Get outside counsel on the line. Now. Jordan blinked. What the hell? Emily? It's just a firing. No, I said, locking eyes with him. You just activated a doomsday protocol. Every risk Alex mitigated now hangs on us. Personally. The room went still. Whispers started. Without cause, someone muttered. Jordan tried to laugh it off. Come on. Restructuring isn't personal. But it was now. I pulled up the contract on my screen, highlighting the section. Read it. Retroactive exposure on all flagged deals from the last 8 quarters. Faces paled. Jordan's charm cracked just a fraction. Outside, Alex was already in the elevator, descending through the glass tower that housed our fintech empire. He didn't rush. He pulled out his phone, methodically revoking access keys, one by one. Digital threads unraveling like pulled stitches. He paused in the lobby, sent a single encrypted message to a contact labeled simply Echo, then stepped into the New York drizzle. No backward glance. Back in the boardroom, panic simmered. What does this mean exactly? Asked Lena from finance, her voice tight. I leaned forward. It means our D&O insurance might balk. Vendors could freeze. Investors pull back. Alex was our shield. You just tossed it aside. Jordan stood, pacing. This is overblown. We'll spin it. But I saw the doubt flicker in his eyes, the first hint that his bravado was a thin veneer over inexperience. By evening, the first ripple hit. An email from our primary insurer in Chicago, pending review of executive transition. Coverage on international ops is under advisement. I forwarded it to Jordan with a single note. Told you. He didn't reply. That night, I couldn't sleep. Memories of Alex flooded in. How he'd once caught a shady vendor deal that could have sunk us, turning it into a win with his meticulous audits. There was a spark between us, unspoken. In those long hours, a shared laugh over absurd regulations, a brush of hands over documents. But work always came first. Now, I wondered if he'd seen this coming. If his quiet warnings in memos I defended were prophecies. Morning brought chaos. I arrived at the office to find the compliance team in disarray, huddled around monitors. "Emily," said Raj, my deputy, thrusting a tablet at me. 2 dormant partnerships just reactivated, Brazil and Hong Kong. Alex flagged them for potential laundering risks months ago. My heart sank. And we can't access the full risk logs. His credentials were the master key. Everything's encrypted. Backups tied to his chain. I stared. This wasn't sabotage. It was design. Alex had built the system to protect against exactly this reckless leadership. Across the floor, Jordan was barking into his phone, demanding IT hack the archives. "Figure it out," he yelled. I stepped into his office. "You can't brute force this." Alex designed it unbreakable without dual auth. He spun on me. "Then why didn't you warn me louder?" "I did," I shot back. "In 4 memos. You ignored them." He deflated slightly, running a hand through his hair. For a moment, I saw the man behind the ego, a kid playing CEO, out of his depth. But sympathy faded as another alert pinged, a wire transfer frozen by our European bank, citing unresolved compliance status. The dominoes were tumbling. By afternoon, whispers turned to shouts. HR fielded calls from partners demanding assurances. "Where's our risk cert?" one demanded. We had none. Jordan called an emergency huddle. "This is temporary," he insisted, but his voice wavered. I met his eyes. Alex didn't quit in rage. He left prepared. And in that silence, the weight settled. We'd fired the one man who held it all together. The next day dawned gray over Manhattan, mirroring the mood in our tower. I sipped burnt coffee in my office, scrolling through emails that piled up like accusations. Vendors halting shipments, regulators requesting audits, each one a thread pulling at the seams Alex had sewn. Jordan burst in without knocking. "Ty Askew." Eyes wild. "Emily, fix this." I set down my mug. "I can't. You fired the fixer." He paced, gesturing wildly. "Call him. Beg if you have to." I almost laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You think Alex is waiting by the phone? He built this company from the compliance ground up. You treated him like dead weight." Jordan stopped, leaning on my desk. What was I supposed to do? He blocked every bold move. Risk this. Compliance that. We're fintech, not a bank from the 80s. "That's why we survived the last crash," I countered. "Alex's frameworks kept us clean." Flashbacks hit. Alex and I in a conference room at midnight, debating a merger. His eyes lighting up with that rare smile when we cracked a loophole. "You're brilliant, Emily," he'd said once. Voice soft. I'd brushed it off. But it lingered, a what-if buried under professionalism. Now, it felt like regret. My phone buzzed, an alert from our D&O insurer. Coverage suspended on flagged regions due to lapse in certified oversight. I showed Jordan. He blanched. "How bad?" "Millions in exposure. Personal liability for the board." He swore, slamming a fist on the desk. Down the hall, the board convened in hushed tones. I joined, laying out the damage. Alex was the named officer in our policies. Firing him without transition voids them retroactively. Murmurs erupted. "We signed off on that?" asked Director Hale. "No relation to Jordan." "Thank God." "Yes," I said. In 2010, after the fraud scare, Alex proposed it to protect us. Irony hung heavy. Jordan entered late, trying to rally. "Let's appoint a temp," but eyes avoided him. Trust eroded overnight. Meanwhile, Alex was a ghost. I tried his cell voicemail. LinkedIn profile deactivated. Even his favorite deli said he hadn't been in. It was eerie. This silence. Not vengeful. Just absolute. By noon, investors stirred. A call from Vanguard Holdings. "We've seen memos circulating. Explain the exposure." Jordan took it, stumbling through excuses. "It's a minor hiccup." But the rep cut in. "Minor? Your risk leads termination triggered clauses you ignored. That's negligence." The line went dead. Jordan stared at the phone, deflated. I felt a pang, not for him, but for what we'd lost. Alex's humor in crises. His steady hand. Once, during an audit storm, he'd quipped, "If compliance was easy, everyone would sleep at night." I'd laughed. Tension easing. Now, no one slept. Afternoon brought leaks. An anonymous post on a finance forum. Fintech giant fires compliance chief. Voids own insurances. Board expose. Comments exploded. Idiots. Lawsuits incoming. Jordan accused IT of betrayal. Find the leaker. But it was futile. The truth was out. Seated by facts Alex had documented. I dug into old files, finding a 2015 memo from him. Forecast. Abrupt removal of key compliance role risks systemic failure. Recommend 60-day overlap protocol. Timestamped. Ignored. I emailed it to the board with "He warned us." Replies trickled. Christ. How did we miss this? Evening fell, and I left early, a rarity. Walking home through Central Park. Leaves crunching underfoot. I replayed the firing. Jordan's arrogance. Alex's calm exit. Was it betrayal or justice? My phone pinged, a text from an unknown number. Echo protocol active. Stay clear.
No signature.
But I knew. Alex. Covering me even now? Warmth bloomed amid the chill. Back at the office the next morning. Chaos peaked. Compliance team reported locked databases. Alex's crypto keys gone. "We can't mitigate without his schemas," Raj said. Jordan, haggard, demanded overrides. "Break it. Illegal," I snapped. And pointless. A vendor call escalated. Brazil partner freezing assets. No risk assurance. No deal. Millions stalled. Jordan retreated to his office. Blinds drawn. I knocked. "We need a plan." He looked up. Broken. "Why me?" I was innovating. "Innovation without foundation crumbles," I said, echoing Alex. Silence stretched. Then, softly, "Did you care about him?" I paused. "Professionally? Yes. More? Maybe." Vulnerability flickered. Human conflict amid the corporate war. But it passed. By day's end, board whispers turned to demands. Jordan's out. I drafted the memo. Heart heavy. The empire teetered. All because one man was undervalued. Week 2 dawned with a hush over the office, like the calm before a verdict. Jordan clung to his role, firing off emails about resilient strategies, but the board had shifted. Private calls, sidelong glances, the coup brewed quietly. I fielded insurer queries, stalling with legalese. But time ticked. Alex's absence loomed like a shadow. I searched for him online, nothing. A mutual contact said he'd vanished to upstate. Maybe.
He's fine, they added.
Prepared.
Of course.
Alex always was. Flashback. A company retreat. Bonfire crackling. He'd shared a story of his early days. Auditing fraud in Chicago winters. Learn to build walls that hold, he'd said. Eyes on the flames. I'd felt drawn then, a quiet attraction, his intellect sparking mine. But boundaries held.
Now.
Those walls trapped us. Mid-morning. A bombshell. Leaked internal audit from 2018. Alex's handiwork. Posted anonymously on Glassdoor. Leadership ignores risk forecasts at peril. Details matched our crisis. Comments. This company's toast. Stock dipped 8%. Jordan raged in a meeting. Sue the bastard.
Can't, I said.
It's factual. And he's gone. Faces turned accusatory. You pushed for his firing, one director muttered to Jordan. He bristled. For progress, but doubt seated. Afternoon brought investor revolt. A Zoom with BlackRock. Exposure models from your ex-compliance chief paint a dire picture. We're pausing commitments. Jordan pleaded. It's contained. Contained? Your policies lapsed.
Click. Gone.
He slammed his laptop. This is war. No, I whispered. Consequences. By evening, board emails flew. Initiate review of CEO performance. Jordan intercepted, calling an all-hands. We're strong, he boomed over speakers. But eyes rolled. Morale cratered. I slipped out, dialing a burner app to Alex's old number. Voicemail. Leave coordinates.
Cryptic.
I hung up, frustrated. Next day, the hammer fell. Regulators emailed. Audit request international compliance lapses. We scrambled. But without Alex's archives. Gaps yawned. We're exposed, Raj admitted. Jordan. Cornered.
Turn to me.
Emily. You knew him best. Reach out. Reluctant. I emailed a private address. We need to talk. Company imploding. Read receipt. Instant. No reply. Tension built. Humor crept in darkly, staff joking about Alex's revenge tour. But it wasn't revenge, it was foresight. Recall. Alex once fixed a breach with a clever clause. High-fiving me after. Teamwork, he'd grinned. Sparks flew. Unspoken.
Now.
Embers of regret. Week's end, board vote loomed. Jordan lobbied frantically. Give me time. But leaks continued, memos surfacing like ghosts. One from 2020, Alex warning of ego-driven terminations risking cascade failures. Prophetic. I confronted Jordan privately. Resigned gracefully. He laughed bitterly. And let him win? He already has. Silence. Then, vulnerably, I underestimated him. Human moment, arrogance cracking to reveal insecurity. But too late. The board met without him. Suspend pending investigation. I drafted the release. Leadership transition for strategic alignment. Euphemism for failure. Jordan left escorted. Box in arms. No fanfare. Echoes of Alex's exit, but undignified. Office buzzed with relief.
Fear.
Who's next? Whispers of Alex returning floated. I pondered the moral. Undervalue the quiet builders. And watch it all unravel. Post-Jordan era felt like aftermath. Debris scattered. Survivors assessing. Interim CEO. A board vet named Harlan. Stepped in cautiously. First priority. Stabilize compliance. But without Alex's keys. It was patchwork. Hired consultants charged fortunes to reconstruct schemas. This guy's a genius, one muttered. Or a devil.
Both.
Perhaps. I led the effort, diving into fragments of Alex's work. Each file revealed layers, elegant, impenetrable. Admiration swelled, mixed with longing. Why hadn't I fought harder? A late-night email arrived, from Alex. Subject echo. Body, a PDF. 52 pages. Post-termination risk assessment. Clinical. Devastating. Charts projecting losses. Timelines for vendor pullouts. Investor flights. Dated years prior. Updated recently. Final note. This was preventable. Regards. I forwarded to Harlan. He's helping? Or taunting?
Both, I said.
Board pored over it. Faces grim. 88% chance of litigation if unmitigated. Red flagged scenario. Leadership override without protocol. Echoed our folly. Whispers grew. Bring him back. Harlan drafted an offer. Consultancy. Blank check. Sent via courier to an address I provided from old records. No response. Meanwhile, fallout mounted. Class action whispers from shareholders. Negligence in executive handling. My depot loomed. Stress knotted my gut. Humor surfaced in gallows style. Staff memes of Jordan as Titanic captain. But underlying, respect for Alex. Recall, a charity gala. Alex in tux. Awkward but charming. We danced briefly, his hand warm on my back. You're the heart of this place, he'd murmured. I'd blushed. Pulled away. Mischance?
Now.
Isolation. A week later, regulators arrived, unannounced audit. We stumbled through presentations. Gaps glaring. Where's your chief's logs? Inaccessible. Eyebrows raised. Fines loomed.
Harlan called me in.
We need Alex. He won't come. Try. I drove upstate to a cabin address from rumors.
Knocked.
Alex opened. Casual in flannel. Unsurprised. Emily. Heart raced. The company's crumbling. He nodded. Expected. We sat by a fire. What do you want? Nothing. Then why the report? To remind you, read the fine print. Eyes met. Intensity. Unspoken feelings. I missed our partnership, I admitted.
He softened.
Me too. But firm. I won't return. They broke the trust. Drive back. Mind whirling. Moral quandary. Loyalty to firm versus justice? Board offered more equity. Alex declined via email. Build better. Reconstruction dragged. New hires filled gaps. But echoes of Alex lingered. Jordan surfaced on LinkedIn, new gig.
Humboldt Bio.
No mention of us. Company stabilized slowly, but scarred. I pondered. Was this growth? Or warning? Months blurred into a fragile rebuild. The tower stood, but foundations reinforced with hard lessons. Harlan steered conservatively, invoking Alex protocols in meetings. His name became legend, the ghost who saved us by letting us fall. I rose to interim VP. Compliance in my wheelhouse. But voids remained. Personal ones. A quiet evening. My phone rang. Alex. Coffee. We met in a Brooklyn diner. Neutral ground. He looked rested. Freer. How's the empire? Surviving. Thanks to your blueprints. He smiled faintly, that dry wit surfacing. Glad they finally read them. Conversation flowed. Old jokes. Shared regrets. I should have stayed, he mused.
No.
You taught us. Tension built, emotional undercurrents. Emily. There was always more between us. Heart pounded. Yes. A kiss.
Tentative.
Then fervent. But he pulled back. Too complicated now. Lingering what if? Back to work. The op-ed hit. In Compliance Journal.
By A.
Rivera. Confidence versus
Competenze. A cautionaritae.
Dissected failures without names, but piercing. Fire the Sentinel. Expect invasion. Echoed loud. Company shares dipped briefly. Then rose, irony. Jordan faded into obscurity. A footnote. We thrived, but haunted. What if we'd listened? Moral hung. In human maw of ambition. Undervalue the quiet guardians at your peril. The question lingered, had we learned, or just survived?